What's up, Marvel fans? Welcome back to Cinematic Cravings. Today I watched Captain America: Brave New World, and unfortunately, I have to say, this might be the worst Marvel movie in recent years. Yes, maybe deep down we all had a little bit of hope, but after watching the film, that hope completely vanished. Expectations were already low, but no one could have predicted just how bad it would be. In fact, forget being good, it doesn't even manage to be average. It's truly disappointing to see such an iconic character like Captain America associated with such a poorly made film. But before I get into the details of why I didn't like the movie, I realize that most of you have already watched it and passed it by. But it's free to subscribe and like. Come on, let's be generous. Subscribe to the channel and like the video so we can grow together. Let's get started. First of all, let's be honest. This film only has Captain America in its title. The actual lead is Falcon, and no offense, but Falcon can never be Captain America. In the comics, after Steve Rogers, Bucky Barnes was the first to take up the mantle, but in the film universe this was changed and Falcon was given the role instead. What makes this even more nonsensical is the fact that Falcon is just a regular human without the super soldier serum. Throughout the film, characters keep reminding him, "You're not a super soldier," yet somehow, in action scenes, he fights as if he is one. He survives battles that no normal person should, without taking a single scratch. One of the film's biggest failures is how it handles political messaging. Marvel has been pushing political narratives aggressively in recent years, but Brave New World does it in the most forced and unnatural way possible. The message that Falcon must be Captain America is shoved down our throats in every scene. Meanwhile, in the comics, Bucky Barnes was always the more logical successor. He was Steve Rogers' best friend, underwent the same experiments, and had years of training. Replacing him with Falcon completely ignores the natural evolution of the character. And then we have the absolute disaster of General Thunderbolt Ross turning into Red Hulk, only for the US military to open fire on him. Seriously? The President of the United States is taken down effortlessly by a small team, and Red Hulk, one of Marvel's strongest characters, becomes nothing more than a 5-minute CGI monster that Falcon, a non-superhuman, somehow fights. It's impossible to believe how terribly this scene was written. On top of that, Red Hulk is hyped as a major villain but is barely utilized throughout the movie, once again showcasing Marvel's biggest writing flaw: its inability to create compelling antagonists. How about the action? Absolutely awful. Do you remember Captain America: The Winter Soldier? That film had realistic fight choreography, expertly executed action, and was one of Marvel's best. So what do we get in Brave New World? CGI, choppy, CGI-heavy battles. The fight sequences are lazily shot, have no flow, and lack any excitement. On top of that, the visual effects are shockingly bad. The Winter Soldier, which came out in 2014, had better CGI than this film. Despite having access to modern technology, Brave New World looks like a cheap TV show. And where is Bucky in all of this? Nowhere. He gets less than 5 minutes of screen time and contributes absolutely nothing to the plot. Bucky Barnes is a character with a deep history and incredible development, yet in this film he is completely sidelined. Steve Rogers' best friend, a super soldier who fought for years, was brainwashed by Hydra and finally regained his freedom, reduced to a glorified extra. The film barely acknowledges him, and he gets no meaningful moments whatsoever. Marvel's complete disregard for Bucky is one of the biggest disappointments for fans. In the comics, after Steve Rogers' death, Bucky was the logical choice for Captain America. But instead of following this natural storyline, Marvel forced Falcon into the role. Considering Bucky's history, his super soldier abilities, and his deep connection to Steve, he deserved the shield more than anyone. Yet, in this film, Bucky is treated like a background character, with no weight, no development, and no real purpose. Bucky's erasure from the film is yet another example of Marvel's poor writing choices in recent years. Falcon becoming Captain America could have worked, if Bucky still played an important role. But here, he barely appears, makes no significant decisions, and leaves no impact on the story. By wasting a fan-favorite character like Bucky, Marvel has made a huge mistake. At this point, it's clear that Marvel is prioritizing political correctness and modern trends over good storytelling. The Winter Soldier and previous MCU films all hinted at Bucky becoming Captain America, yet this possibility was completely thrown away. If Bucky had been given a meaningful role, the story could have had some weight. Instead, Marvel completely sidelined him, likely saving his character for the upcoming Thunderbolts film. Even from a technical standpoint, Marvel completely botched this movie. The action sequences are lifeless, the fight choreography is laughable compared to older films, and the entire movie is a CGI mess. People still remember The Winter Soldier for its brilliant action, character-driven conflicts, and grounded realism. But in Brave New World, everything is drowned in CGI. Falcon's flying sequences look fake, the physics make no sense, and nothing feels remotely thrilling. And the visuals? A complete disaster. Marvel's CGI has been criticized for years, and they've done nothing to fix it. Red Hulk's design looks awful. He's just a reddish, cheap-looking animation. The film's scenes don't connect well, fight sequences lack continuity, and even the action scenes feel empty. On top of that, the iconic Marvel music we've come to expect is missing. There's nothing visually or sonically memorable in this film. For a movie with Captain America in the title, the sheer lack of effort is proof that Marvel no longer cares about its audience. One of the most ridiculous aspects of the film is how often it repeats the line, "Falcon gives people hope, but why?" There's nothing in the film that actually shows how he inspires anyone. What did he do that was so inspiring? Nothing. Marvel is trying to trick the audience with empty dialogue. "You are an inspiration to the people," is said multiple times, yet we never see any actions that back up this claim. The storytelling is so forced that it completely fails to connect with the audience. And then we get to the big final battle. What a disaster. Red Hulk is completely wasted. Falcon should stand zero chance against a superpowered opponent, yet the film completely ignores logic and makes him unrealistically overpowered. Red Hulk should have been a major selling point, but what happens? He appears for a few minutes and is completely wasted. There's no real tension in the final fight, no thrilling climax, and no memorable action moments. And by the end of the movie, nothing is resolved in a satisfying way. The film simply ends, leaving the audience feeling empty. Now, let's get to the most important point. This film is not worth watching in theaters. Honestly, it's not even worth watching on Disney+. If Marvel continues down this path, we are witnessing the downfall of the MCU. The golden days of Marvel are long gone, and every new film only confirms that the franchise is beyond saving. If you care about Marvel, do not spend money on this movie. The only way Marvel executives will realize their mistakes is if they fail at the box office. If Marvel wants to bounce back, they need to stop making films like this. If you've seen the movie, share your thoughts in the comments. Did you expect it to be this bad? Can Marvel ever return to its former glory? Let's discuss. See you in the next video. Take care.